Hey everyone, welcome back to the podcast. Before we begin, the Grandel Wrestling Podcast would like to salute our partners who make all this possible. First, the St. Louis Kings of the Calzone, sauce on the side in the Grove. You can't go wrong with the Pancho Villa or one of their dessert calzones. There is an art to this dish, and there is one master artist of the calzone, sauce on the side. Dine in, carry out, or delivery. We'd also like to welcome the newest member of our family, the Southwest Diner. Serving up diner staples and foods of the American Southwest, Southwest Diner has been a favorite of locals and visitors alike since 2012. If you're into the classics, you can't go wrong with the biscuits and homemade sausage gravy. You like spice? Dig into Jonathan's famous fiery scramble. They also do an excellent smash burger. You gotta check it out. The crispy edges are amazing. Now offering delivery, curbside pickup, and a brand spanking new patio. There are plenty of safe and enjoyable ways to get your Southwest Diner fix. And now, on with the show. Hey there, wrestling fans, and welcome back to another edition of the Grandel Wrestling Podcast. Ben Simon here, along with super indie megastar himself, the Savageweight, Fred Yehi. Fred, welcome into the show, man.
Thank you for having me.
That's awesome. Hey, look, I've followed boxing and wrestling for a long time. What division is Savageweight?
Savageweight, man, very, very unique division in a class of my own. You weren't ready for that one.
No, I'm not. You know, it definitely sounds cool. I appreciate giving you the ring introduction. The Savageweight, Fred Yehi. You've really blasted onto the independent scene in the last 5-6 years or so, and I know you've been doing it longer. And your background is from all over the place, really well traveled. You're in Atlanta right now, originally from Waterloo, Iowa, and you're living in Florida. Talk about your beginnings in wrestling. They're well documented, but I'll get to that in a moment.
I mean, wrestling, first is to start, it's just, wrestling's been something that's it's just the thing I was just meant to do, since I can recall, since being in diapers, it's something I just fell in love with. Started my career back in 2012, trained under Steve Platinum, Jay Fury, who was former Ring of Honor. I did a lot of backyard wrestling with a bunch of good buddies just growing up. So, yeah, I mean, that's where the beginning of Fred Yehi, 2012 PCW in Atlanta, Georgia. I currently live in Atlanta, Georgia. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I mean, that was the beginning. That answers the question.
Yeah, there's some interesting footage of you on trampolines from the aughts, if you will. 2009, I think is when the BACW YouTube, as it's now called, was started. It's you wrestling on trampolines with, I guess, your good buddies. You were just a fan, I guess. You were wanting to get into it. Tell us about the beginnings of this YouTube channel, because it's still relevant.
It's still popular, still relevant, of course. The beginnings of that, it was just me and a few buddies, just as a hobby. We watched wrestling. I watched a whole lot of, I followed wrestling a lot closer. Just a bunch of us just getting together just as a hobby, having fun. My closest friend, Melvin Bell, that's what the channel's named after, Melvin Bell. His younger brother got a camera for his birthday and a trampoline because he was just really spoiled. So we took that and was like, hey, let's start recording matches. So we started recording them, putting them on VHS, and we had this big vision of sending this off to some kind of major backyard wrestling organization and hopefully getting on a video game.
Now, hold on. You were putting these on VHS in 2009?
Yes, in 2009. Okay. We had blank VHS. Yeah, that's what we did. So we put them on VHS, and we were like, hey, we're going to send this. We're going to send these off to some backyard wrestling organization and hopefully get on a video game. That's where it really started. So,
the actual backyard wrestling video game.
Yes,
wow,
yes. We wanted to send some things off and hopefully get on with something like that.
Yeah.
So then they kind of continued on from there. After that, shortly after my run in the Air Force, then starting in 2012, they just kind of went from there. So yeah.
What does BACW stand for?
Battle Action Championship Wrestling.
And you said that was named after your friend?
Well, no. The channel, the YouTube channel, the Melvin Bell. That's named after him. Like that's the email account on the channel, but it's BHW Wrestling Battle Action Championship Wrestling. So yeah.
And nowadays, if you go to this channel, you'll see action from the Dynamo Pro Dojo here in
Yes.
St. Louis. And it's basically closed set wrestling with some pretty notable names. I saw Trish Adora on there the other day.
Yes.
You've been mixing it up with Raheem De La Suede, Mike
Yes.
Outlaw. I saw Tootie Lynn in there as well. What is the idea behind the modern day BACW? And when did it change from the backyard to the closed set tapings?
So the idea, to answer that question, the idea of starting BHW Grudges, during the pandemic, there were a lot of shows that were like closing down because of, COVID, of course. So the original idea was just creating content. So myself, Mike Outlaw, Tootie Lynn, Camaro Jackson, we just got together as a team and we decided, hey, let's just start creating content instead of just relying on, getting booked with all the stuff that's going on. Let's go ahead and like take matters in our own hands and just create something. So that was the whole idea of that. And man, now fast forward now, we're like 46 episodes in. So like we're constantly like just creating that content, working together as a team. Man, we shot the first ever Iron Woman, 30-minute Iron Woman between two African-American women, which was Tootie Lynn and Trish Adora. So yeah, like that just touches a very like special place in my heart. Just the memories that we've created up to this point. Like just actually, that's one thing I like to just talk about too. Like, man, if you can get a team of people together, like in wrestling, it's one thing, like, we have our careers, there are things that we want to do, but when you get a team together of like people who you love and you trust, like that's just a very like special thing. So yeah, man, that's that's BSW Grudges in a nutshell.
And you guys have plenty of viewers too. I mean,
Yes.
tens of thousands of subscribers
Yes.
on that channel.
Yes.
Was that your independent fame, do you think, that got you that number, or did that propel you? What came first, the chicken or the egg?
Man, this has been like a team effort. Even before BHW Grudges, when we were doing the backyard thing, we had a team of guys just working together. A good friend of mine, Melvin Bell, who's back in Atlanta. Good friend of mine, Daniel Kahn Nelson, who lives out in San Diego, California at the time. He currently lives there at the time. I'm kind of getting tongue-tied. Sorry. But yeah, just working together. It wasn't just like me as an individual. Like, it wasn't just me breaking out as a star. It was like a whole like cohesive effort. Like Tootie Lynn, like she has a following. Mike Outlaw, he has a following. Camaro Jackson, he has a following. Della Suede, Moses, and there's like a plethora of other guys we brought onto the channel. They all have followings, so it's been like a whole like cohesive thing. So yeah, again, special place in my heart, man. Like when I talk about it. So yeah.
You mentioned you were in the Air Force about 10 years ago. How did that transition you into pro wrestling? Or just give me the if it didn't directly, it might not have. But I'm just I didn't know you were in the Air Force.
Yeah. I was in very, very briefly, very honorably discharged. Let me say that first. Very honorably discharged. Best move for that point in time. It was just something, a lot of different skills that I took from that. At the time, I wasn't really sure if I wanted to get into the pro wrestling. So like, living under those like just those military guidelines, a lot of things you can't do, made me realize how much I really miss wrestling. And I'm like, man, I really want to do it. So I was able to finesse my way out honorably, and I got out.
So you started in PCW in Atlanta, is
Yes,
that right?
yes.
And how quick did it take you, or how long did it take you to move out of one promotion, one facility, and branch out?
So my start in PCW, I told myself I wanted to stick there and learn as much as I could for about a year. I'll throw this nugget out there too, like just for any wrestler who's like watching this, who wants to, if I can give you any advice, just be a sponge. Be a sponge. Learn as much as you can. When you're a good listener, it makes your trainer want to like teach you more, show you more. You're always getting good gracings that way. I was fortunate enough to, just from my years as an amateur wrestler, basketball player, like just becoming very coachable. Mm-hmm. So I was able to get those opportunities to get in with a lot of good guys in that first year. So after that first year, like I started to branch out. I didn't really like blow up a lot of like local stuff around the Georgia scene. So it wasn't until like maybe 2015, like late 2015, when I started breaking out and I got that first go with Evolve Wrestling. So yeah, it's quite a journey.
I think most people first heard of Fred Yehi around the country from Evolve. And nowadays, unfortunately, Evolve has been absorbed into WWE. But back when it was a powerhouse on the independent scene, 2016, exactly the first time I heard of you was when you were in a qualifier for the Cruiserweight Classic. Now, unfortunately, you weren't one of the guys who made it into the first Cruiserweight Championship tournament for WWE. But what were some of your experiences with that and with Evolve? I think it was TJP, wasn't it?
Right.
I mean, were you disappointed you didn't make the cut for the tournament?
Man, so around that time, like 2016, like getting out, doing the Evolve, and like man, I got a chance just to see like just what pro wrestling really was. Like I really consider that like my first year as an actual pro, if that makes sense. Like the Georgia wrestling scene, it was, especially during that time, it was quite different. It was kind of closed off, if that makes any sense.
Oh, there's companies around here like that too. Yeah.
Right. So it was like, like there's a difference between having time in the business and actual experience. So you take a guy like Leo Rush, for example, his 2 years in the business, when he was at his 2-year mark, it's different from like a 2-year guy who's just, or even a 4-year guy who's just kind of relegated to just one area. You know what I mean? So like, there's just a difference between time and experience. So let me try to get back on track.
It's the quality of the experience.
It's the quality experience, right? So yeah, that 4 years was really like, it was really nothing. I thought I knew a lot, but then getting out with the Evolve crew and like seeing what those guys were doing. And I'm like, man, like how the heck are they getting the crowd to like respond that way? Like this is how it actually, this is the professionalism. Like a lot of these guys are well traveled. They're making really good money. But no, there are really no egos like that. Everyone, they're actual like professionals. And, just from a lot of the places that I worked in that Georgia scene, I realized that a lot of them had like a misunderstanding of what the business really was. So yeah, I really consider that like my first year, like as an actual professional. So does that answer the question?
Yeah, it does, and more. I love it. Back then, was Evolve associated even loosely with WWE? Were there any rumblings that you knew of?
Not that I really know of. Like around that time, I was just focused on learning. I was trying to learn like what those guys were doing. So as far as like anything going on in the background, I didn't really know. I was just going along for the ride, honestly.
And during your barnstorming days on the independents, you were the FIP Full Impact Pro Champion. It was like the longest reign up until pretty recently, I think. Right. And the first time I saw you locally here in St. Louis, it was an independent wrestling TV championship match. And I think was that Anarchy? I think Anarchy, was that the first time you came to St. Louis?
Let's see. Wait. The Warhorse match. Is that the one?
Yes, Warhorse.
Okay.
We're going to get you, Jake, on this show. Let me tell you, we're going to get you, okay?
Warhorse. Yeah, I believe that was my first appearance in St. Louis. I remember that. Yes, I do remember that. Yeah.
So what were some of the lessons you took from this period? Because you're growing as a person. You're not like a pro wrestler making the money solely, I assume, from the in-ring work. But what are you taking away from this time? Because it's definitely an important time.
Man, so in this point in time, what I'm really taking from is to peel the curtain back a little bit is just the importance of having a team. You doing things on your own, just relying on yourself and your own efforts, it can only get you but so far. You really need a team. Yeah. You really need a team. You really need a team of folks who are really gonna support you and give you that reassurance. In this business, like with your craft, like I know for myself, I speak for a lot of wrestlers actually. Like we're super critical. Like I don't think there's ever a match that I look back, I'm like, I did this wrong, I did that wrong, I did that wrong. You want a team of people who can tell you, hey, no, hey, this was actually like that was pretty cool. Like, that was really good. I see what you're doing. I see where you're going. That's very important. And if you have a team, you guys are on the same page as far as like creating something, building something together, like that's phenomenal. So that's what I would say is like one of the, probably the most important lesson I've learned like during this block of time.
Let's get topical. You've appeared for Ring of Honor as recently as this year.
Yes.
And I'm sure that you had some stories there, some positive experiences perhaps. And now as we speak, Ring of Honor looks to be liquidating. And that's my personal word I'm using. That's what it appears. It looks like the company is liquidating in its current form. And December 11th, 2021 will be their last show in their current form at the very least. What does this mean for the industry right now with Ring of Honor supposedly closing up shop? Fred?
I mean, if they're done, if Ring of Honor is finished, I mean, there's a void that can be filled. So, you know, that can actually turn into a positive. Yeah, that's what I'm seeing from it. Anytime that happens, like, yeah, it's just another space where like, hey, someone else could come up and really make a really big move. So, yeah.
Talk about what brought you to St. Louis. Because you've been all over the place, but you're here, you're working for Anarchy, you're working for Glory Pro, and you're near the top of the cards in those companies. You're a name player here in St. Louis. Talk about coming to St. Louis.
Man, so what brought me to St. Louis again was just building that team, like just building up a team. Doing that show when I worked Warhorse at Anarchy Wrestling, I hit it off really well with Kenny Alfonso and 2D Lynn. So like that kind of like that kicked off that relationship. Also, yeah, Thomas Shire, Ken Way, like there were a few other guys. Like we just hit it off really, really well and just kept in touch after that. And then through 2D, that's how I met Mike Outlaw, Camaro Jackson, and the rest of the crew. So that's kind of where it went. It went from, you know, that to, hey, let me come up and get some training in. Because like from my understanding, most of the schools back at home were, you know, closed due to COVID. So like making those trips, you know, for the training, and then from that, you know, hey, let's see if we can create something. And that's kind of how it just got rolling.
I warned you before we went on here that I was going to ask you for your wrestling horror story, okay? I hope you had time to think about it. We want the maddest, the baddest, the saddest. From in the ring, in the locker room, or on the road. Fred Yehi, tell me your wrestling horror story.
All right, so, like body fluids.
We're off to a great start.
Body fluids. Body fluids. If you want to see me just like get, especially body fluids, like in a container or like in like a bag, like just body fluids in general, like that makes me really sick. That grosses me out. So, man, so there was a small show in Georgia years ago. This was back in like 2013. So I was like a year in, maybe in year 2. Working a match out in the middle of nowhere. Didn't really know these guys or anything. There was like a few disagreements as far as like putting it together or whatever the case may be. But I didn't take it personal. I was like, okay, you know, it is what it is. Tag match, whatnot. At that time, hadn't really done a whole lot of those, still inexperienced. Get in the ring. There's miscommunication and whatnot. I go through a forearm on the guy on the apron, and it just like catches him in the right place to where blood just.
Oh, he's a fountain.
He's a fountain. It's everywhere. So you think that, you know, at that site, the match should just come to a complete end. No. He rolls back in and keeps trying to brawl. I'm like, dude, get the freak out the ring. Like, I'm like, what the heck? There's like blood every freaking way. I'm throwing him back out. I just can him back out the ring. We go back to, I'm trying to get to the finish. He's get right back. This happens like 2 or 3. I wish I had this on film. He kept running back in the ring. And I'm just like, oh my God, it's all this freaking blood, every doggone whatever. And we never get him out the ring. And then somehow we got to the finish. There's like blood everywhere. So yeah, that's my wrestling horror story. Like because I hate, I don't do too well with body fluids. Like,
was that in a state where they need blood work done?
Well, Georgia, they're not nearly as strict as like St. Louis. I don't think they even do we don't do physicals in Georgia. We don't do physicals or anything. So like that just freaked me out.
Now,
That
I'm
just
telling
freaked
you
me
what,
out.
everybody
Like,
always says, why do we have to get our blood work in Missouri? Stories like that one.
That is why. That is
Yeah.
why. But yeah, body fluids in general is just like you want to gross me out, spit on the sidewalk. Like that just grosses me out. But then like freaking blood, snot, like yeah, it grosses me out. Like it's a lot. Like don't eat cereal in front of me and like have milk dripping right here. Like that just grosses me out. Like even that's enough. Like just have like milk sitting here on the side of your lip. Like it's it's bad.
What's next for Fred Yehi in the world of wrestling?
Next for Fred Yehi. So I'll be doing some work out in New Jersey. I'll be out on the West Coast. I still have more stuff here in St. Louis coming up. BHW Grudges will continue. We have more stuff coming out with that. So, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. Sorry. Oh, the wrestling school. I'm head trainer down in Atlanta. Well, Morrow, Georgia, to be exact. Face-to-face wrestling. So, like, that's going on. So, I'm raised up a crop of some Yehis down there. So yeah. We're getting it in. It's been going really well.
Hopefully, we'll get to see the Yehis over here in St. Louis once they're ready.
Yeah.
How can people follow you on
Hopefully.
social media?
Man, I'm not really on it much, but if you want to follow me.
Neither. I'm not. Yeah.
My Twitter is Fred Yehi, at Fred Yehi, Facebook, Fred Yehi, BHW Grudges on YouTube. I do have an Instagram, but I don't know my password. I ain't been on that in like years, but it's on there. Follow it.
Yeah, well,
I ain't really on it like that.
Yeah, I can relate to all that a lot. Like I've been saying, I'm on Twitter too. It's at the Ben Simon, but I'm still getting used to it. I'm not really sure how to post efficiently and put all like the little words on the photos and make the memes. I don't really get it yet, but I'm learning, and I hope you follow me at the Ben Simon. The show is on Twitter at Grandel Wrestle, and we're on Instagram at Grandel Wrestling. The show has been produced as always, by Joey O'Farrell and has been engineered today by Logan Perez. We're at Midcoast Media, Midcoast Studios here in Midtown St. Louis. Hit up the owner, Chris Denman, if you want to do your show or podcast here. It's a great facility, and we love it and thank them very much. Okay, everyone, for the Grandel Wrestling Podcast, for Fred Yehi. Fred, thank you very much, my friend. It's been an honor and a pleasure having you in here finally. We say, until next time, so long from the Show Me State.